everybody, welcome back. Mr. Balker here. We're going to cover our next lesson in Amplify. We are on 8D, subunit 1, lesson 2. It is called His Notice Sudden Is. This is the first of 2 lessons. We're going to examine a poem, okay? A specific poem that we're going to cover in this one and in the next one, okay? First of all, let's understand the idea of imagery. In our last lesson, we talked about the idea of silence, the image of silence. What does silence look like? Poetry uses a lot of imagery. Poetry uses fewer words, but has to convey a lot of meaning. They want to put you in a state of mind, to make you imagine things that are taking place. Imagery is very, very important in poetry because it tells us the scene, what we're looking at, right? In a book, you might have 10 pages describing where we're at, what we're looking at, who's there, what are they like, what are they not like, all of that. You don't have that in a poem. In a poem, you have this really condensed version of things, and the use of imagery will bring the reader into that moment. So when you wrote your own poem about silence, ideally you did it with showing somebody, putting somebody in your frame of mind. Right? If I were to do the silence poem myself, I would again talk about that moment of sitting on the deck and looking. Not a blade of grass is moving. Not a tree is moving. There's no wind. That's it. That's silence to me. It's like time has paused almost, and everything is just stopped. That's silence. That's an image, right? You can see that scene, hopefully, in your head of nothing going on, just the grass and the trees, and everything is just still because it's silent. There's no wind, there's no people, there's no cars, there's nothing. That's silence. So, this poem here that we're reading about is not about silence. This poem is about a thing, and we're describing this thing and the emotions that this thing conveys in a person, that it elicits in a person. Okay? So let's go ahead and go to the actual poem. What is imagery? They define it as descriptive language that helps us imagine how something looks, sounds, smells, feels, tastes, or conveys a certain emotion. And we've talked about all of those things. Okay? Here's the beginning of the poem. It is called A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. I'm going to read it. A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. You may have met him, did you not? His notice sudden is. The grass divides as with a comb, a spotted shaft is seen, and then it closes at your feet and opens further on. He likes a boggy acre, a floor too cool for corn. Yet when a child, and barefoot, I more than once at morn have passed, I thought, a whiplash, unbraiding in the sun. When stooping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. Let's talk about the imagery that is used in this, okay? We're walking barefoot in grass, and we see the grass parting as though a comb. And as we're stepping, as our feet move. Oh, Hank, did I lose you? Hank, come back here, Hank. All right. As we're walking in the grass, it kind of parts as our feet come across it, right? And you see like a comb has pulled it apart, right? And as we step, he looks and he sees and he's like, oh, a whiplash. Now you have to know what that is. Okay, so you have to know what a whiplash is. Right, and it's a whip, right? So it's got a handle and a long leather thong attached to it, and it makes a noise. It'll crack, and it causes pain. These are used to get a horse or a cow or a goat or whatever to move, to do your bidding, right? So when he looks down on the ground, he thinks, oh, a whiplash, right? This is not an uncommon item, but somebody's dropped it here. So he goes to pick it down, and it wrinkles and it moves. What's he talking about? What's the whiplash? That is the use of imagery to convey an emotion. It wrinkles and it moves. What is the thing that's in the grass, guys? What is the narrow fellow in the grass? It's a snake. How does that make us feel? The way that it's described here is a very peaceful, calm, easygoing day, like, okay, everything's normal, it's just a discarded whip, and then it wrinkles and it moves, and it's not that. And he doesn't call it a disgusting, terrible animal, he calls it a narrow fellow in the grass. Sounds like a friend. Do you view that as a friend? A snake? I don't know. People have different emotions about this. Some people are a little freaked out by them. Some people think, not a big deal. That's the idea of this imagery, is to convey a certain emotion. So this is the beginning of the poem. There's 2 more stanzas. And we're going to see his emotional response to this when he realizes what it is. What do you need to do in this one? You need to do the solo, where you answer these questions about what's going on. These questions are not all multiple choice, however. I believe that there are some free responses. So what you're going to want to do is fill out these various things and talk about who the speaker is, what's it about, etc., etc. It's to gauge your understanding of the poem itself. And that's it. That's what you need to get done. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you for the second half of this one for lesson 3.